Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. We are here at the first weekend. I'm going to try to keep this short. So, just taking a look here. Thoughts on first assignment, some positive things that many of you did, not all of them. And remember, this is not the first graded assignment. This is just the feedback I gave you, mostly audio, but some written. Most of you are taking the time to write a complete sentence. Your grammatical structures are good. Most of you are using textual analysis, direct references from the text to justify whatever you claim. Some of you are not, but most of you are, okay? The other thing is most people have got theirs in and are meeting the deadlines. Just to reiterate, the deadlines are general guidelines, but the drop boxes will close within 48 hours afterwards. So if you fall a little behind or you don't get home by 4 o'clock, it's not the end of the world and you don't get dock marks. But once the drop box is closed, unless you've spoken to me, there is no extension. And as we get closer to the end of the semester, which is only 21 days or 25 days or something like that, the timeline becomes essential in meeting, okay? Things to improve. By far, the most obvious thing to me is that people are not taking the content seriously enough. Okay, and by content seriously enough, I mean that let's look at the Sojourners piece. That was an essay that everyone was supposed to read. You know, if you read a paper, here's my little pro tip here. If you read the Sojourners 3 or 4 times, you will have a very clear grasp of it, right? You'll have a clearer grasp of the structure. The first time you do anything in the world, you don't have a clear grasp of it. So do yourself a favor, read it over once, read it over again, and then start to read over the paragraphs that you don't seem to understand as well. And then read it over as a whole again, and you'll start to see a structure, and you'll be able to answer the questions a lot more readily. Some people just started talking, we're only talking about mangroves, and thought that the whole thesis of the paper was about nature, when really that was a small part of what was happening with that extended metaphor. And before you do that, okay, I'm just going to flip over. Read the content and apply it. Okay, I evaluate based on this. So when you go back to Unit 1, Activity 1, the first thing that you should be looking at is the minds on before you go to action, right? And this has three parts, component parts. What makes a piece of writing good? And these are words that you should be able to incorporate and talk about and know. And then they talk about ideas and organization, right? And it even gives you an excerpt directly from Dillard's essay here, right? It introduces you to what you're going to be looking at. Where do you get your ideas from? It gives you strategies for generating the ideas. A lot of people had questions about that as if they hadn't read it and hadn't looked at all these different strategies. And then RAFT ends up being the format you need to use. And of course, methods of organization. This could be applied directly to question 4 of the questions asked on the Sojourner. So you need to know what all of these are. And in order to answer that question, you need to say, I think that Dillard structured her essay with this, not this, or this, not this, or there's an aspect of 4 of these, right? That is the basis of your answer, right? You need the terminology, okay? And then you finally get here and you can start to do that. So let me just go back to thoughts. You can't in grade 11 English write a bunch of generalities. It just is not good enough. You can't pull it out of thin air. You need to start from the content and then apply the strategies, and you will be graded accordingly, okay? Be specific in your claims and back them up with textual evidence. If you say that something is structured a certain way, prove it to me, right? Always prove it by going back to the text. The more nuance, the better. The deeper the analysis, the better. Okay. The other thing I wanted to show you today is you need to kind of know what I know about you, okay, and what I see. And that means a couple of things. So let me just go to course navigation here. So if you look at me, this is me. Michael Schmidt, I don't see exactly what you see. So when you submit something, okay? So when you submit something, these are all your assignments. So I see total files, unread finals. So I have assumed that I've done all of these and that you have received them, okay? So let me just go, because this one's not marked. I don't want to embarrass anyone or make them feel like it's becoming public. But just so you see what I see, okay? Okay, so at the top here, a couple things to notice. One, it says when it's published, okay? It says whether or not you've read my feedback. It's very important to read the feedback, because if you're not reading the feedback, then you're not really going to improve. So make sure you read the feedback. When you submit this, see how it says turn it in here? This is to say what percentage of the text can be found on the internet. So all these figures, 17, 21, 17, 8, all suggest that there's no way that a lot of the assignment was copied. When the color goes red or orange, it will be like 40 or 50%, and then it will, if I click on it, it will show me exactly where that content comes from. So it's really not a good idea in this day and age to plagiarize at all, because I am able to see it immediately. The other things that I know about you, and again, this is not to scare you by any means, because I know most of you probably know this anyways, but it is important that you know what I know. Here is a full list of students, and for any student, I can go to, sorry, I'm about to sneeze, view profile, view progress, all these things. So if I go to view progress for anybody, right, I can see the grades that they've submitted. We're not really using this grade system, just so you know, because if I use it, the marking scheme will be messed up for the web marks that we're using. They're not integrated. So when I post your marks, I will post marks, but it won't be through the grades on D2L. Okay, objectives, content. Now it shows how many visits there are, how much time was spent, shows how many discussions were done, what percentage of assignments are due, all those things. So there's all these metrics that exist, right? So if you're never logging in, I can see that. Now, I'm obviously not going to evaluate you based on whether or not you log in, because obviously you could just log in for 10 seconds, you know, do tons of work with your computer logged off, and it, you know, this not be a very good reflection of your progress. But it is important to know that if, let's say, I don't hear from you for a couple of days, I'm going to start looking for you. I want you to succeed, and if you start falling behind, I'm going to try to figure out why that is. And that's kind of all I wanted to show you with that. Remember too that you can send an email. These are message alerts, and there's live, right? I'm on often, and some people can message me live and I'll get back to them right away. If you see my green light on, I will definitely do that. You can always just say hi. No question is annoying to me, although sometimes I will point you back to the content if I feel like you're not really paying attention to it and you're not reading it very carefully. What was the last thing I want to talk to you about? Oh, weekends. The weekend is here, so if you look at your course calendar right now, today there are two things due: a reading response, the reading response questions, and word choice and voice. Now I guess that actually is not due because it's locked. Let me just go up and look at the Dropbox. So you've just got the reading response questions, and then when are the discussions due? Word choice and voice. So it is unlocked, so this is due, and 3 people have submitted, okay? So that's a good example of how you can double check that stuff. I will be online over the weekends, but less so. You're not expected to submit over the weekends, but you're able to. I would say I'll be checking at least once a day, but I won't be on like 3 times a day like I am currently, okay? In terms of marks, by Monday, I hope to stay fairly close. So I hope to have this, anything that was due yesterday should be done by Monday. Anything that was due today will be done by Tuesday. Okay? You can hold me to that to some degree. I shouldn't fall far behind, and I know that's important to you to get your marks. Have a great weekend. Have a restful time, and keep working hard. And remember to contact me if you're struggling with specific details. Okay? Thank you. Take care.